Hello and welcome to another episode of Brewery Towns, the podcast that talks about brewing beer throughout the country. My name is Matt, and I am joined today by Cecilia.
Hey guys!
Now, if this is the first time you are listening to us, we have 16 episodes out, 15 cities in one state. If you want to visit our website, brewerytowns.com, we have all the episodes on there, or you can just listen to them on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, iHeartRadio, just wherever you listen to things. And also follow us on Facebook and Instagram. If you are a returning listener, thank you so much for sticking with us. If you're really interested in the podcast, feel free to go to our Patreon account. You'll be the first to learn about new episodes, and you'll get something special from us every month. Now, we ended season 2 a little abruptly, but it was 2020, and I'm sure, as everyone knows, things come up. But we are back for season 3 right now, and we have a lot of good episodes coming in the next few weeks. You ready, Cecilia?
I'm ready. Let's go in.
Okay, so the city we're going to go to today is Truckee, California.
Truckee. Oh, I like that.
Have you ever heard of it?
No, absolutely not.
I never knew of it before researching, but it has a really cool history, both back in the day and also modern. Before we get started, though, the sources that we use for this episode are Cap Radio, Sierra Sun, Tahoe Daily Tribune, and the Truckee Donner Historical Society.
Oh, nice.
Okay, so Truckee, California, even though it's in California, it's located in Nevada County, and it's technically in the Tahoe Sierra region, so that's pretty much where Lake Tahoe is, and then you go to the left and you get the Sierra Mountain Ridge. It's about 15 minutes from Lake Tahoe, so they get a lot of the tourism that comes from there. If you're traveling there, you can either fly into Reno, which is about a half hour away, or Sacramento, which is about 1.5 hours away.
Okay.
Or you can just drive there. It's probably a beautiful drive, too.
Probably a long drive from Texas, for sure.
Yeah, even longer from Pennsylvania. I would do it, though, absolutely. So the population of Truckee is about 16,000, so pretty small. It doesn't have a nickname. We usually do a nickname. No nickname for Truckee. And we also do a hometown, but since it's only like 16,000 people, there's not really anyone too famous, but they do have a lot of alpine skiers either born in Truckee or they make Truckee their home base now. Its founding was in 1863. The area was a nice water source for Native Americans. In 1846, 1847, outside of Truckee, just right outside, the Donner Party, if you're familiar.
No, I'm not. I have no idea what that is.
Well, you'll probably be reminded. So it is a group of people that were heading west, and they tried to pass the mountain range here, and they were a group of 100, and about 47 of them died. And it was like the Donner Party disaster, because they started to eat the people that died.
You never heard of it? I don't know.
Oh. Well, there's lots of documentaries about it. It's really... I mean, it's terrible, but it's a fascinating story.
Wow, okay. Wait, one quick thing, though. How is that spelled? Is it C-K-I-E or with a Y?
Truckee?
Yeah.
It's truck and then double E.
Double E, okay.
Let's see. It was a stop on the Transcontinental Railroad from San Francisco to Chicago. But up until 1990, it still only had about 3,500 people. And then it became a skiing hub. And the population quadrupled pretty much to about 14,000. Wow. And so it's just kind of been steadily growing since the turn of the century.
Pretty cool.
Yeah, it seems like a nice place.
Yeah.
Nice place to be. Okay, let's get into the beer.
The beer, the good stuff.
So we're mainly going to be talking about one historical brewery, but it was an important one. And it technically wasn't in Truckee, but we wouldn't have an episode if we didn't include it.
Okay.
So the brewery was called Boca Brewery, B-O-C-A. It was founded in 1876, and it was located in a settlement called Boca. It was really booming in the 1870s, so they put a brewery there, but by today's standards, there's no one living there, and Boca is now part of Truckee.
Okay.
That's why I think it's okay to include it.
I think so. I think you're on the right track.
Okay, thank you. Okay, so let's see. The plant costs $100,000 to construct, which is about $2.5 million of our money. And it was, at the time, the costliest facility west of the Mississippi River.
Okay.
They employed anywhere from 35 to 80 people, mostly German immigrants, as most of these breweries did. They produced the first lager in California. Now, for lager, you need a very cold space to store it, or else it's going to go bad. So in Truckee, they actually had a large ice manufacturing plant. Now, Truckee was the perfect environment for ice because they had very cold winters, think 30 below. And they had little precipitation because the mountain range kind of blocked it all. The shavings from the local mill was, quote, of such an absolute purity.
Oh,
Mm-hmm.
okay.
Now, because of this, Boca could put ice in trains and ship their beer pretty much all over the world. They were founded in 1876, but in 1883, they won numerous awards at the World Fair in Paris. So they were known not only around the country, but around the world as well. And they were known for their excellence and crispness. Not Christmas.
Yeah, Christmas?
Crispness. So it sounds like it was a pretty nice facility, and they were going strong until they closed in 1893, so just 17 years after they were established, because a massive fire burned everything to the ground.
Oh, that's unfortunate.
I know, just think of the things we would have if it weren't for fires.
Exactly.
Because in their facility, they actually had the ice on a second floor. Mm-hmm. The beer that was on the first floor was actually saved from the fire because the ice was actually so thick around it that it didn't get to it.
Oh, wow. Okay.
So people were kind of excited about that, but then it all had to be destroyed because there was no federal tax stamp on it. So I guess they couldn't technically distribute it.
Bull.
I know,
all that red tape.
I know, isn't that some government bullshit right there?
Mm-hmm. I agree.
So, in the Truckee Republican, a mournful assemblage of Bocaites stood on the river's bank and with tearful eyes watched the sorrowful waste of the delicious beverage.
Oh, that's so sentimental.
I know, they were weeping. So afterwards, because they had such a strong following, of course they were thinking about restarting. But ice production was becoming cheaper and more widespread by this time because technology was getting more advanced. And in that particular area, it was the beginning of a recession and pretty much the downfall of the Boca settlement. Now, if you're interested in what this beer tastes like, Anchor Brewing out of California and San Francisco, I believe, they have a series called the Zymaster series. And these are beers from old recipes from California that they still have records from.
Oh, that's cool.
And so the number one beer in that series is called California Lager, and it's actually the Boca beer recipe.
Oh, okay, cool.
Yeah. Now so that was in Boca, and it's really only 5 miles down the road.
Okay.
So in Truckee, there was a brewery called the St. Louis Brewery. It was founded before Boca in 1874, and it was actually one of the first in the area. We don't really know too much about it other than that it closed in 1888. So, open for 14 years, which is pretty significant.
Yeah.
And then another one we have record of in Truckee was by Charles Thomas, and it was called Eureka Brewery. And it opened in 1899 and closed in 1911.
It's had its fair share.
Yeah, I mean, for the size that it is.
Exactly.
And if you include Boca in that, it's pretty good.
It.
But there's a lot more information on Boca if you're interested about the brewery. Those are just really the spark notes. So we're going to fast forward through Prohibition, through the rest of the 1900s, and we're going to stop in 2007 when 50 Fifty Brewing Company was founded.
Okie doke.
Have you ever heard of them?
Nope.
They definitely had some cans in Denver. I'm pretty sure they had some cans in Houston. And I didn't get a lot of them because they were kind of expensive.
Oh, okay.
But they're all very tasty. So if you see, the label's really cool. That's what catches your eye, really. So let's see. The owners, Alicia and Andrew Barr, they moved from San Francisco out to Truckee, and they started this brewery, and they became so entwined with the community that in 2015, Alicia actually served as the city's mayor.
Mm.
So that'd be cool, being the mayor and then the owner of a local brewery.
Yeah.
That's really the dream.
That is a dream, yeah.
So they're located in Truckee. They own the brewery, and then they have an adjacent restaurant called the Drunken Monkey.
The Drunken Monkey.
And from what I saw, it's kind of like Asian fusion.
Oh, that's cool.
It is really cool. And then the brewery itself also has a restaurant as well. People know about them because at the Great American Beer Festival, they won the Brewery Group of the Year in 2018, which is like a really big accomplishment because those are all the breweries throughout the country.
Oh, I see.
So I'm thinking maybe they started distributing more after that title.
I would assume so.
Just because people know them, yeah.
That would be a good business move.
One of their most popular beers is called Eclipse Stout, and it got a 4.2 on Untappd, which is really quite high. And people would just go crazy over this beer, so much so that every year they have an Eclipse Week. During this week, they invite people to the brewery, and you can have tastings of different years of Eclipse Stout, or like they're in different barrels, different variations. And guess how much tickets cost?
$50?
$100.
Oh my god.
And I was reading, apparently they sell out like within 2 minutes. Like you have to be on the computer pressing reset.
That must be really good beer. I mean, just
Well,
it must be really fun too to go.
Probably. Well, I mean, they're marketing geniuses because anytime you can get people to like fight over going to your event,
yeah,
you're doing
true.
something. You're doing something right.
That's right.
Okay, let's go to 2018, and that's when the Truckee Brewing Company was founded. They are located in this shopping complex called Pioneer Center, which is actually a business hub for local young entrepreneurs, which is kind of cool.
Yeah, that's cool.
So they must give them like some type of deal to be in this area, which is smart.
Mm-hmm.
And they are known for their Truckee IPA, which got a 3.59 on Untappd. Next came the Good Wolf Brewing Company, founded a year later in 2019. It is named after a proverb. Have you ever heard of the Good Wolf proverb?
I don't think so.
There is a grandfather and he's talking to his grandchild, and he tells them about two wolves that go inside a cabin.
Mm-hmm.
And he says, one of the wolves is good, one of the wolves is bad. The one that wins is the one that gets fed. So I don't know what that's supposed to mean.
I don't know.
I guess it's supposed to mean that you're supposed to be the good wolf and you'll get fed.
I guess it's a nice name.
The owner, Matt and Heidi Pato, I think that's how you say their last name. Matt worked at Sierra Nevada, which is in San Francisco, Elysian, which is in Seattle, and Oscar Blues, which is in Austin. The location is in the old Tahoe Mountain Brewing Company, and they actually bought a deal. They got the space, and then they had not all of it, most of the brewing equipment inside of it, and it was included within the purchase of the building. Now, Tahoe Mountain Brewing Company, they did not cease. They actually moved to the Kruger White House, which is the only house in town that's on the National Historic Register.
Oh, wow.
Which is kind of cool. I mean, they moved to
really
this
cool.
historic house. They restored it and everything. And they plan on making wines and ciders. I assume they still make beer. But people who went there, the reviews are like, it's just a restaurant now.
Oh.
So I didn't really include them in here, but they are a brewing company, technically.
Yeah, they have a brewing history, so...
But if you go to the Good Wolf Brewing Company, ask them about that proverb, and I would recommend getting a Neon Rainbow IPA. And that was like one of their first beers that they did. And it got a 4.01 on Untappd. So in the small town of Truckee, we've already gone over 3 breweries. And the last one that came around was Donner Creek Brewing. So remember the Donner Party?
Yeah.
So
yeah.
I guess they named a lot of things. There's like Donner Summit, Donner Creek. And this is named after the creek. And it just opened in August of last year during the pandemic.
Oh, wow.
And it's located a little bit out of downtown Truckee. And it's pretty much halfway between Truckee and this place called Donner Lake, which is where the Donner Party tried to camp. So they don't have many beers, but the one that I thought was funny was one that's called FU COVID Saison.
I like that one.
Mm-hmm.
If I ever go there, that's probably the one I'll taste.
Mm-hmm. And it doesn't have many reviews on Untappd. There really wasn't too much information about the brewery online or even on their Facebook page.
Oh, they're new.
They're new. They exist, and they call
Yeah.
themselves a Pico brewery.
Pico.
Yeah, Pico. And this is the first time I've heard this term before. Apparently,
Uh-huh.
it's smaller than a nano brewery. So you have
Oh.
like macro breweries, and then I assume you have like regular breweries,
Mm-hmm.
and then you have micro, nano, and I guess Pico is underneath.
So they're
So
small.
they're small. They only have 2 to 3 of their beers on tap at any time.
Oh, okay, I see.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. It's still worth it, if you're ever in the area, just to go and check it out.
Well, I mean, yeah, it's worth them to be opening because if these people come to Truckee, they're going to want to hit all the breweries, and you may as well just open another one. I don't know how many tourists they get there, but enough to keep all these businesses in operation.
Exactly. And Tahoe's right there. I mean,
Mm-hmm. I mean, you hear about all these people going to Lake Tahoe.
On the bucket point, I'll go.
That's on the bucket list, Lake Tahoe?
At some point.
I agree. So that's the story of Truckee, California.
Truckee, California. Interesting little history.
Yeah. We definitely zoomed through that, but like I said, there's a lot more history about Boca if you're interested, and then there's some really good articles about 50/50.
It looks beautiful from the pictures, like just
Mm-hmm.
the town itself and just the landscape.
Mm-hmm.
Oh.
See, and that's why I like, finding these towns, because I would have never known of this, but, it's a really nice place. It has some really great breweries.
Wow. All right.
Yeah, and that's episode 1 of season 3. Well, thank you, everyone, for listening. Any final words, Cecilia?
Sorry. How many episodes are you going to have?
Well, the plan always is to have 9 episodes per season. That's what we did for the first season, and then the second season we had 7 because we had to cut it a little bit short. But I already have 9 episodes planned out.
All right. Sounds good. I'm looking forward to them.
And that was another episode of Brewery Towns.